Guys, how's everybody doing? Since I reviewed the first Insidious movie, here are my thoughts on it. Insidious Chapter 2. Not 3. What? One of my positives on Insidious 2 is the casting for the opening scene. Now, in the opening scene, it shows that Patrick Wilson's character as a kid, when he went through the same experiences as his son Dalton, and I felt they did a really good job on the casting. You can kind of tell they look like the actresses or actors like that they look as grown-ups. Like the kid that they casted as Patrick Wilson's character. I don't know if that was makeup or whatever they did, or maybe that's just the way he looked. He looked exactly like Patrick Wilson. Maybe it was his own kid, if anything. They did that good of a job. Even Lynn Shay's character, like when she was like young and like maybe in her 30s, I felt they did a good job with her casting and like Patrick Wilson's mom or like Josh. I should stop saying Patrick Wilson. I should say Josh. Joss's mom, like in her casting, it kind of just looks like his wife, though, which is the thing I feel is played by that same actress. I felt I did a pretty good job at the casting that opening, and the opening scene was actually also pretty cool, where it shows like when she was first beginning, and that also Josh went through the same thing as Dalton, and that's why he had to go to the further to grab Dalton. They explained it in the first movie, kind of, but they never really came out and said that, hey, you went through this, but they just said that you have to go because you've kind of went through the same stuff, basically, and it kind of shows. And then it starts to play more into the story, like, why are they showing this? Like, what's the point? But then further throughout the movie, they show why. Pretty good casting for the opening. Opening, I thought, was probably one of the better scenes in this movie. It was just a lot of fun. I liked it. I want to talk about Patrick Wilson's performance in this movie, where he's possessed by the bride in black person. Where, since at the end of the first movie, he was just yelling at the bride in black, like, go away. But you think that worked, and he returned home and he was fine and all that, but no. He was possessed by the bride in black, and that's how the first movie ended. And this movie kind of shows that they're kind of going to court and all these things because she was murdered. No one saw him do it. He ran away from the scene, crime scene, and all that. And it kind of does like this whole thing where did Josh actually do it? Maybe he did do it. Maybe he didn't do it because no one knows he's possessed by the bride in black. They saw the picture, but they don't think that he's actually possessed. Which is the thing. They don't think he's possessed. They just think maybe he went a little crazy. We all go crazy sometimes. Anyways, I feel that his performance, where he did a pretty good job, where he kind of shows that he is possessed, but at the same time he just seems like a regular man. Like you can see cracks here and there, but it's not too suspicious to where it's given him away. Like sometimes it's like, well, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. If you think I did it, I didn't do it. Like small cracks like that, it kind of gives a hint. Maybe he is possessed, but us as an audience, we know he is. But at the same time, he does a great performance showing that he's not. He could be possessed, but at the same time, he might not be. Which is a very great performance. If you're able to play it off to where it shows that maybe he's possessed, but at the same time he's not, and it doesn't really give it away. That's a Oscar-winning performance there. See, the Academy Awards really need to start nominating horror movies because there's some good actors and good parts about horror movies. I'm still pissed that Mia Goth didn't win Best Actress last year. Her performance in Pearl was awesome. Kind of like a small positive in a way. Now there's like this new exorcism person since Lynn Shaye's character supposedly died at the end of the first movie, but they bring in one of her friends that does the same thing. His name is Clark or something like that. And the way he does it, like how he speaks to ghosts for the dead, kind of like a Sixth Sense thing. He takes like a bunch of dice and he rolls them and he kind of like rolls them out and he could find like sentences or like just a simple word within them. There's like this whole scene where he's just like taking them. He's just like, "Are you here?" Shakes them. Nothing happens. Asks a bunch of questions, but then he's like, "Can you?" And then all of a sudden, the whole area just goes black and dark, and it's just all that's lit is just candles. And he rolls them out finally, and it shows yes. And that's a pretty good scene where he's just rolling them out. He can find sentences, and then you, as a viewer yourself, you have to try and sit there like, what is it saying? Like, you sit there yourself, like, is there something there that we're not missing? Is there something there we're missing? Is there something that we just can't see? Like, even myself, when I was watching this, I'm like, I'm trying to find something to say something, like, maybe, I don't know. But it cut away too quickly sometimes, too, where I couldn't read what the hell it said. It would just show it for like 2 seconds, like, boom, boom. I'm like, I want to read that, please. But at the same time, I don't like reading. Reading's boring. It's not like I have a bunch of books. Who reads books? Why are you looking at me like that? Why are you lingering? Cut away! Kind of like a tiny positive as well, where not many movies, like horror movies, can do this for me. I thought the comedy in this movie was decent. Now, there was a pretty good scenes, and mostly came from Lee Winnell and his, like, partner in crime. Those were kind of the comic relief. Sure, it did go overboard a few times, I will say that, but I got a few good laughs out of me, and even got a few chuckles out of me, and a few horror movies today really do that to me. Like, any comedy right now, it hardly does that for me. I applaud you. Round of applause. Clap, you jerks. Now moving on to my mixed aspects. Now, this whole movie really focuses on, like, the origin of the bride in black, kind of showing, like, what she is or who she is and all that. And at the same time, I will say this: I found it interesting. I found it kind of cool that they decided to focus on that, especially after the cliffhanger at the end of the first movie. That sounds like a pretty good idea, and I would be on board for that. But where it falls into my mixed aspects is that they kind of ruin the mystique of the character, where she's not scary anymore. They show too much about her, and I'm not a fan of prequels. I don't care for them. I feel that they're just there. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a prequel. It's fine. But for this, it's kind of like a prequel movie, but at the same time, it's taking place at the end of the first movie. I'm not bragging of why they decided to do that. I understand maybe because like everyone had a bunch of questions after the end of first Insidious and all that. Like, who is this bride in black? Like, who is this lady? What is going on? But then I'm not gonna spoil it if you haven't seen the movie. But stupid mosquito, get out of here. But what happens is that it just shows too much. It shows stuff that I didn't care to ask me. It did shock me. A few things that they showed in here shocked me. It also kind of made me feel uncomfortable where they decided to go with the character. I liked how they tried to do that, but they show way too much where it just ruins the mystique of the character and it ruins the mystery of the character, and it doesn't make the character scary anymore, which is a shame because I thought the character was pretty scary, but after you watch this movie, she's not scary. She's not very interesting anymore, if she even is a she. Now moving on to my negatives. Now this is a thing that also bothered me in the first movie. If I had to describe this movie with one word, it's loud noises. This movie, every single goddamn fucking jump scare has a loud ass bang every time there's a goddamn jump scare. It sounds like somebody's playing a violin, what? Violin, and then the loud boom from Inception and mixed with it. It's that loud. It's not scary. Sometimes they would play it before the jump scare would happen. Like, what the hell did this come from? Like, it baffles me. It's a thing that bothered me in the first movie. I will say that. I'm not afraid to admit it. Admit it. But it's just a bunch of loud bangs over and over. I have a headache by the movie. This movie's over. Loud noises apparently. It gets people scared. It doesn't scare me. Well, guys, I thought this movie was okay. It's another haunted house movie. It's another Insidious movie. I'm not a big fan of this franchise so far, anyways. But I feel that I prefer this movie over Insidious. I might have to rewatch it. But as of right now, I think I prefer this over the first movie. But at the same time, I don't think it's as much better as the first movie. So this is a movie I would just say to go ahead and stream it. What do you guys think of Insidious Chapter 2? Do you enjoy this more than the original? Do you prefer the original? Let me know in the comments below and we will talk about it. And if you like this video, like it. If you loved it, subscribe and hit the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. But until my next video, take care.